What's up? So, I am here to make a very crazy video about God's work in me. Um, Majority of people who know me know that that's kind of what I deal with. Talk about not judging, but just saying, that's my cup of tea. And I remember Pastor Tim one time. He's always sharing his testimony and what he went through in life and how he came to God. So whenever I speak to somebody, I feel like I always do that. But now the people that I never get to speak to, and maybe one day I will hope to get to speak to, just share what Christ does for us and the love that He gives us. I mean, it would be awesome. But maybe just be able to share my story to see how amazing He is. And for the people that want to always say, like, I got to get right with myself before I come to God, it's just not going to happen. You got to understand, you can never be good enough to come to God. You're just going to come imperfect all the time. And of course, for all you agnostics and atheists probably watching, I know y'all going to bombshell me. It's completely fine. It's completely fine. Make fun of me all you want. Still love you. Completely fine. So, back to the story. I'm Tariq. Tariq, as you would call it, Arabic name. I was born in Bangladesh, south of Nepal, east of India, west of Burma, I believe. Yeah, somewhere around. So South Asian. I like to say South Asian. People always say Middle Eastern. Didn't know why. They don't know their geography. So I grew up in Bangladesh. My mom and my dad first came here in 1989. They divorced after having me because they just did not get along. So after they divorced, my dad found that it was easier for my grandma to raise me and my brother back home, so he can come back over here and work, right? So from, let's see, 1991 to 1997, I grew up in Bangladesh. It's a Muslim country, so I was raised as a Muslim. And I remember 1997 when I first came to America, when they first told me, hey, you're going to America, I was excited. I always thought America was in the sky. I never believed that it was just another place like Bangladesh. You got roads, you got grounds. So, came over here, saw airplane for the first, saw cars, well, sports cars for the first time. And I was like, what is that? So it was pretty exciting. But it was a very big culture change, just from being a Muslim, learning about, growing up praying, loving Muhammad to the fullest, and then all of a sudden coming here and seeing that, why are these people always happy? And Jesus Christ this, Christ that, like you never hear these things in other countries. So, as I'm growing up, I see how people from where I'm from is treated a little different. We're just not always the popular ethnic group, right? So for me to always fit in, and I'm very blunt, very honest, so you're gonna hear some crazy stuff, just to let you know. I wasn't the normal Desi or Indian, Nepalian, Bengali guy, you would say. I love fighting. I love playing football. I wanted to have girls around me. I didn't want to be the 40-year-old virgin like most of my people are. And so yeah, so I had a lot of friends. I might name drop a couple of you people. It's not shooting bad things, but you guys, I love you guys. Like from my friend Zach Reeves, Jacob West, growing up in Farina Elementary in Irving, Lorenzo. I mean, these are some popular dudes right here that I'm naming from back in the days. And we would play football, and over time, I started hanging out with kids that I shouldn't by the time I was in the 5th grade. Just because 5th grade, like everything was really okay until 5th grade. 5th grade is when 9/11 happened. And within 24 hours, I went from just being me, a goofy kid who was a class clown, to being called a terrorist 24/7. Shocker. Right. So, people always call me terrorist. We always have these comebacks, and when we go back and forth, You can't make a joke. You say, all right, well, screw you, Tariq, go blow something up. So that's basically what happened. So in the summer after 5th grade, psychologically, it really got to me. So I started hanging out with other kids that weren't really uh, good for the soul. So, but I wanted to fit in, and they let me come in as a family. So by the time I even got to the 6th grade during that summer, I already started smoking weed. I started drinking. A couple of old school cats over here in these apartments that would, like I would walk around 12 o'clock at night and say, hey, mijo, you okay? What you doing? I was like, man, let me get some of that Corona. Go give me a styrofoam cup, and he would allow me to drink. So by the time in the 6th grade, I was like 10 or 11, I'm already smoking and drinking. And I remember, this was, hey Jamie, you know who you are. And I just remember, like, I was cool. I felt very, very cool. Like I was in smoking weed out of aluminum pipes, Rillos, learning how to freak those things out, taking the paper out, just bam, right? So, after that, I remember my dad catching, what do you want to call it? A cigar in my pocket. He caught a cigar in my pocket in the 6th grade, and my dad had got married twice. The second wife, I gave her hell because I didn't want a mom. I didn't want nothing to do with mom. I was okay, right? So by the time I was in the 6th grade, that mom of mine, she's a beautiful, lovely lady, but she kind of like had my dad into a position of like, well, what do you want to do? You gonna keep your son here, or you gonna keep me here? What we doing? And my dad decided to send me back. So in the middle of 6th grade year, he took me back to Bangladesh to say, hey, we're going for a 3 weeks trip. Let's go back to Bangladesh, and then we'll come right back. So we go, and I have fun. And I'm still a Muslim this whole time, right? Of course, I didn't change yet. And by the time we're coming back, he just never, when I'm packing to come back home, he's just like, son, what are you doing? Packing my bags. And he said, you ain't going nowhere. You staying here. So he ends up telling me that I'm staying home. So that killed me, right? That killed me. I don't know why, but whatever. And then the crazy next part about it is he didn't just keep me home. He ended up leaving me in a all boys boarding school where basically unwanted kids would go. And that's where my life changed forever. That's where in the 6th grade, I was sexually harassed or molested or whatever you want to call it. Yes, that's what happened. And going through that traumatic effect, psychologically, what it did to me for the next 20 some years of my life was crazy. So I came back after that, and I was smoking and drinking throughout there, even in Bangladesh. And coming back, like this idea that I had, what, man, am I ever gonna be good enough for a woman? Am I straight? Am I not? I mean, what do I do, right? It just happened to me. So internally, I'm broken. And even when I was there, I would pray 5 times a day. I would read namaz. I wanted to be an imam. I would read the Quran all the time. And I just never felt nothing. And I truly cried and prayed, but it just wasn't there. It was like laws. It's like if you say nothing, like 10 commandments. There's no relationship. So I came back, and once I came back, I let loose. I let loose with my friends, everybody that I knew. It was just all about getting in a part of a family. So most of my friends growing up were all blacks and then Hispanics, and then maybe I might hang out with my people. White people, I'm sorry, just didn't kick it with y'all. It is what it is. So in the 8th grade, that's when I just went, I fought. I drank when I came home. I smoked when I came home. I always had to deal with these issues in my head. Where like if a girl ever hit on me or something, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what to do, because in the back of my head, I'm always fighting these things. And as years went by, this carried over as a freshman. Oh, freshman year, my dad took me to Bangladesh and he left me again. This time, I didn't even do anything bad. I He didn't find nothing. He just left me there. And over again, I see that I'm always being left. I'm always being um, second chosen. You know, my brother was always praised. So I'm just always like, dang, Allah, what's going on? Like, am I not loved? You know? So growing up like that, and even when I would mess up, my grandma, I love her to death, rest in peace. She would always even say when I would mess up, like, oh my God, Lizan, when you mess up, like, I wish I would have thrown you in a rice bag and, you know, threw you in the lake when you were little, because I was just that bad. But, you know, still love her. She raised me, right? And so I went through all high school, still dealing with the terrorist jokes, still dealing with my psychological issues. Never really had a girlfriend. Like, I would flirt and stuff, but I just never felt like I was good enough. I never felt secure of who I was. So I wouldn't even lie, man. I think I felt like I did my whole high school faking it. And I didn't like really fighting like that because it's hurting people, but everybody want to be a Crip and a Blood or a CTC or YTG or Fame or blah, blah, blah. And these are all the things that I'm naming in Irving. So if you watch it somewhere else, I'm sorry, you're not getting it. And I kicked it with people that were really great people in the heart, but they were just never taught better. And I think after senior year, by that time, I just didn't care so much that I would do drugs every day. I would go to school drunk and high, first period, second period. And then, like, I didn't care about my dress code. I would wear these slippers that looked like Jesus would have worn them because it was very old school. It was from Bangladesh. And by the time I graduated, right after I graduated, I barely went to college, and I ended up meeting my ex-wife. Fell in love, like, you know, felt like, oh my gosh, you know, at high school she was considered one of the prettiest and the finest girls in school. So when I ended up with her, I was just like, ooh, better take my opportunity and run with this one. So, you know, I left everything and I went. As you can tell, my ex-wife is, she's Tongan, Mexican, and Swedish. So I, you know, got the whole tribal tattoos all over the body, represent, right? And life went on. And whenever I met them, life was kind of hectic too. I met my father-in-law, and I remember him telling me, you're not going to marry my daughter if you ain't a Christian. So I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, here I come. So I ended up going from being a Muslim to a Christian just because I wanted to marry her. So I ended up marrying her. We had our daughter, and then we had a daughter 3 years later. But for 6 years I was married, and within those times, when I tell you, things was very crazy. I thought that I really, really loved Christ. I would go to Bible studies all the time, church Sundays. I would do a lot of studies. I did studies with Seventh-day Adventists. I would do studies with, you know, Mormons here and there by myself, looking up Jewish and Islamic debates, just legalistic things so much. But I never had the heart for Jesus. I never just sat there and wanted to build a relationship. And there's so many times he's been there for me. Like I survived a suicide bomber in Bangladesh just because he protected me. I remember my ex-wife and I and the girls were homeless at one point, and we bought a tent from Walmart, and we stayed at Grapevine Lake because nobody wanted to help us because of a certain dumb situation that we didn't like. It wasn't our fault. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just not gonna lie. It wasn't our fault, but we were in that situation. And my ex was like, "Hey kids, we're just camping," and you know, very optimistic, and just always had faith in the Lord. And I did not. I was like, "What am I doing wrong? This and that." So, you know, it was kind of crazy. I never had faith. So I think after 6 to 7 years of relationship with my ex-wife, she did her wrongs, but one thing I did do is I lied to her about watching porn. Porn was also introduced to me in the 4th grade, so porn addiction was a big thing to me, especially after 6th grade and molestation. You would wonder, right? So even though my phone was the most beautiful thing in the world to me, it was still around, and I couldn't open up and tell her the truth that, hey, this is what I have an issue with. And she was abusive. So I'm definitely not gonna get hit. So I just keep it in until one day, like, I had enough. Right? I would tell her to stop. She didn't stop. Of course, everything came out the loose, and we ended up separating. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you her wrongs, because, you know, I wish God would work with her. But so I lied, and the biggest thing is I didn't really give a lot of attention to my wife that I should have as a man. So, and then once I divorced or separated with my ex-wife, I basically became an atheist, or an agnostic per se. I thought I knew something was out there. So I partied hard, deep LM all the time, place in Dallas. Didn't have no moral laws, except for just don't kill nobody. And I just feel like, you know what, Lord, I gave so much time to you. Like, why am I going through this? So you definitely can't be true. And I lived like that for a year and a half. And all of a sudden, I saw that there was an emptiness. Like, it didn't matter how good I felt, how, you know, when I came home after being drunk, it was always an emptiness. Like, it was a calling. I love you. I was calling. It was always a calling. And then I turned around and met another beautiful person, and we had a great relationship together. And within that relationship, one thing I will tell you, what I learned from her, is unconditional faith with the Lord through everything. So she would always be a very important person in my life, because she helped me see real, true faith within the Lord. So after battling atheism and coming back, I still wasn't devoted to Christ all the way. I would just say I was a Christian. And I don't know why. But then after being with her, having a great relationship, never fought or anything like that, all of a sudden, you know, her and I, you know, we went our separate ways. We're still friends, whatever. But in that time is when I truly, truly, truly found the Lord. And then when I really have this relationship with the Lord, then I really realized, like, my whole entire life, when I was stashed away in a different country, when I was molested, whenever I survived, you know, a bomber, when I was abused by the wife or father-in-law or my dad, or, you know, being bullied in middle school and then picked on and name called in high school, and then just not ever feeling good because of whatever ethnic group I am. I felt like, you know, like one person who always loved me through everything was Jesus. Always, right? So I started listening to Michael Todd a lot, and I would wake up in the morning and listen to Michael Todd's sermon, go to sleep, listen to Michael Todd. Did the same thing with Tim Ross. Woke up, sleep, woke up, sleep. All Michael Todd and Tim Ross. And I would say now it's been about 3 to 4 months that I've been very, very devoted into Christ. So that's what I live for, you know. Christ says, if you come to me, you will pick up your cross and walk with me, right? And he is the living water. And as I drink the living water, I've never felt so much better. Usually when I tell the story, first, second time, third time, I bawl out and cry. But I've cried so many times where now it's kind of like a joke. They're just like, wow, you can just say stuff like that? I was like, yeah, it happened. Who cares? Because I look towards the Lord for everything. The joy in the Lord is my strength. I love lifting. You know, I feel like even when I go to lift, the physique that I've created is always for the Lord. You know, if something ever happens, I'm ready, Lord, bring it on. But, you know, it was just a conviction in my heart to kind of share my story, that you can be from anywhere, from the other side of the world. Like, I really believe that my mom won a lottery to come to America just so I can meet Jesus. And I wanted to share my story with people, that this is what I went through, and so much in detail, but I know this is what I went through. I just kind of wanted to share a little background, and then what happened and how Jesus has worked through me. I'm not happy with, like, I'm not in the happiest state, as people say, super successful job and all the money, but I'm happy every single day because the Lord's got me. and my kids are alive, and I have a great relationship with my ex-wife, I have a great relationship with my ex-girl, I have a great relationship with my friends, even my enemies. If you're watching me, dude, I love you. I'm sorry for whatever I did. And even all the atheists, I love you too, like I said. But maybe I hope my testimony helps. If it doesn't, you can point and laugh. I'm cool about it, man. I'm cool about it. I'm gonna continue to do what I'm doing. But thank you for letting me share my word. If you took the time to watch these, 20 minutes and 22 seconds, I'm so sorry if I wasted your life. And if it was okay and you loved it, then just give your life to the Lord, man, and let Him see. Let Him do your work. Let Him convict you and change you. Do not try to do anything for yourself, because it's not gonna happen. And that's really about it. I still got about a half a gallon of water to drink, and I'm 6th and 7th meal. So you guys have a blessed night, and that's about it.